Hello, welcome back everyone. In the last class, we have discussed about various generation languages from first generation language to the fifth generation language. Is it? Yes, hope everyone learned that all. Today, we will continue the same chapter. So let's look the topic programming paradigms. So the word paradigm means a way of thinking or a way of doing, or we can tell it's a way of approaching. That is the term paradigm indicates. So how we can tell the programming paradigm? Yes, absolutely. Programming paradigm means it's a way of programming or way of writing a program, or we can tell it is a style of programming or style of writing a program. So this is programming paradigm. So the term paradigm represents it is a way of writing or way of approaching or way of thinking. But in the case of programming paradigm means we can tell programming paradigm means it's a way of programming, or it is a style of programming, or we can tell it is a style of writing programming. Clear? So what is programming paradigm? So we can tell it as a definition, the process of organizing principles of a program is known as programming paradigm. So what are the principles we need to follow to write a program? That is known as programming paradigm. In simple terms, we can tell what are the principles we need to write a program. We need to follow to write a program, that is known as programming paradigm. Yes, last year you have learned about the C++ language. You know how to write a program using C++, is it? Yes. This year you are going to learn which language? Yes, Java. That is a object-oriented programming language you are going to learn. So each programming language has its own principles to write a program. That means how you have done C++ and how you have done a small simple Java program. In the last class you have done a simple Java program, is it? So you can understand how to write a simple Java program. What are the difference from that C++ and Java? By comparing a simple Java program, you can understand, is it? So each programming language has its own principles to write a program. So the process of organizing principles of a program is known as programming procedures. So different programming procedures programming paradigms has been used, such as procedure programming, modular programming, or what structural programming, like this different has used. What is the goal behind it by changing this different one? Yes, the primary motivation in each case is to handle the increasing complexity of a program that are reliable and maintainable. So we are trying to make a complex program into a simple one. So we will change the programming paradigm to sort out the drawbacks of the earlier one, or sort out the drawbacks of the conventional programming paradigm. Yes? Okay. So let's discuss the different programming paradigm. The first one, we are moving to the procedural programming paradigm. So this procedural programming means that is procedure oriented programming. You can tell that is a POP, POP, procedure oriented programming. So in the procedure oriented programming means the programs divide into procedures or functions. That means it focus on the procedure for the solution of a problem. What do you mean by that? What do you understand from that word? Actually, procedure oriented programming means it emphasizes on procedure or the logical structure rather than data. That's why I have mentioned here, emphasize on doing things rather than data, doing functions rather than data. Okay. So what is procedure oriented, or how the procedure oriented is emphasizing? It emphasizes on doing things rather than data. A list of instructions returned for performing a task where each statement instructs that computer to do some task. So that is in procedure oriented programming means we will give list of instruction. We will give the instruction what the system has to do. Like that instructions we have to give in procedure oriented programming. Okay. So a program in a procedure oriented programming or program in a procedural language is a list of instructions where each statement tells the computer to do some task. That is a focus on processing. It is not more focusing on the data. Clear? Okay. So the instructions given to the system, sometimes it become more tedious also. So what is procedure programming? Procedural programming or procedure oriented programming or procedural programming paradigm. These all emphasis on doing things rather than data. So what are the things or what are the how we are giving the instruction? We are giving a list of instruction returned for performing a particular task to the system or the computer. Clear? So this is known as procedural programming paradigm. The second one is modular programming. Just assume we are writing a large program, a long program for a large application. Then it is very difficult to maintain, isn't it? It is very difficult to identify the errors or edit like that. So to reduce the size of a long program, the program is divided into smaller groups. And these groups can be termed as modules. Modular programming means a program is divided into or decomposed into number of modules. Each module can be again decomposed into series of submodules. That is the concept of modular programming. So modular programming means a program consists of number of modules and it work independently. Maximum times it will work independently. Each module can work with its own data as well as with the data passed to it. So a set of related, so how we can tell programming modules, what is module? A set of related procedures that performs a particular task. Performs a task is known as a module. And the program which is designed using this concept is known as modular programming. Understood? So procedure oriented means there it is not focusing on the data and we are giving the instruction and the system will execute. The system will do whatever instruction is given by the user. That is the procedure oriented programming. Here in the modular programming means a large, to reduce the size of the large program or the long program, we are using this concept is known as modular programming. By this concept, what we are doing? We are just dividing or the program is decomposed into modules or submodules. What is a module? A set of related procedures that performs a task is known as module, and the designing of or the program which is designed using this concept is known as modular programming. So each module can work with its own data. By using its own data, it can work, and sometimes modules to module data will pass. At that time also, it will take other modules data and it will handle the data. So this concept is known as modular programming. Here I have drawn a picture also. From this we can easily understand. Main program, the program, consider that is a large application or a large program. Then main program is divided into modules. Here modules to modules. That second module is again divided into modules. So that is the submodule. So this modular programming means a program is divided or decomposed into series of submodules. That is known as modular programming. Clear? Next we will move to the object-oriented programming. So object-oriented programming means this programming concept views a problem in terms of objects involved rather than procedure for doing it. You have to remember that point, what procedure-oriented programming means. It is not focusing on data, it focuses on doing the things. But in the object-oriented programming, it focuses on data rather than procedure for doing it. Okay, understood the difference between that? Yes. So this object-oriented programming concept means it views a problem or program in terms of object involved rather than procedure for doing it. Clear? Yes. So Java is an object-oriented programming language, isn't it? Yes. So object-oriented programming means from the name itself we can tell object-oriented programming means it considers everything as an object. So in real world, object examples, what are the examples? You can tell so many examples as object, is it? Yes, in real world. Yes, pencil, pen, book, laptop, every person, you, then what else? Mobile, these are the examples of real time or real world object. Object means to explain, or we are just moving before the definition of object. Just we have taken an example of pen. Consider a pen. Pen is an object, is it? Yes, pen is an object. You can also take a pen and identify what are the characteristics and behavior of the pen. All of you have a pen, is it? Just take the pen and check what are the characteristics of the pen. You can easily write. Yes, what are they? Pen has a color, is it? Yeah, each one has different colors. One black or blue or some other metallic color, like this, different colors are there. So what are the characteristics of pen? Yeah, pen has a particular color. Then it may short or long. Yes. Then it may have cap or without cap, is it? So these are the characteristics of a pen. Clear? Okay, what is the functionality of the pen? Functionality means what is the function of the pen? Yes, writing. Yeah, for writing we are using pen. For drawing we are using pen, is it? So two cases we can tell: writing and drawing. Understood? Yes, you have taken your pen. Pen is an object, and how we have defined the characteristics and behavior of a pen. So characteristics means it has color and it has size, and it may have cap or without cap. Then these are the characteristics. And the functions means, functions is indicating by the behavior, isn't it? What is the behavior of the pen? Behavior means it is using for drawing and writing, isn't it? For these two cases. So we can tell, so as an object, how we can tell the definition? Yeah, an object is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and some behavior. Understood? So how we will tell the definition of object? It is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and some behavior. Okay, so example pen. Another one example, you can consider dog. So you can also assume what are the characteristics and behavior of the dog. Yes, what are the characteristics? It has color, then breed, yes, size, yes. These are the different characteristics. What is the behavior of the dog? Barking, eating, sleeping. These are the behavior of the dog. So now you understood what is an object and what is in a real world object, how we have given the examples, and the characteristics, what are the characteristics and what are the behaviors of the particular object, you know well, is it? Yes. So what is an object? It is an identifiable entity having specific characteristics and specific behavior, or some characteristics and some behavior. Anyone has doubt why we are discussing this real world object in this programming? We are going to write the programs, is it? Using the object-oriented programming, we are going to write. Last year you done in C++, here we are going to do in Java. So all of you or anyone has any doubt why we are discussing this real world object here? Yes. Why we are discussing this real world object means, actually this programming concept is object-oriented programming, isn't it? So in the definition itself we have discussed the object-oriented programming views a problem in terms of object. Understood? So here we are comparing the real world object, and next we will look how this real world object is implementing in the software field or in the program. Understood? So what we are going to do? How to relate the real world object in the program. Okay. So real world objects are implemented in the program by the state and function of a object through variables and the functions. You didn't understand? No. Once more, here real world objects are implemented in the software program by state of the object. So sometimes, state is otherwise known as characteristics of the object. Here you can write here also, just 1 minute. So you can just, this state is indicated by the characteristics of an object. Understood? State means that is the characteristics. So how this the characteristics of an object is mentioned through the variables in the program. Through the variables. Variables are data items. Then next one, the functions are functions. This function means that is a behavior. Functions are behavior is represented through the functions in the program. Functions are generally called as methods. Which you can just, functions are generally called as methods. So real world objects are implemented in the program by actually an object has characteristics and behavior, is it? Yeah. So the state of an object is mentioned through the variables, and the function or the behavior of an object is mentioned through the functions, are generally called methods. Understood? Okay. So consider another example, car. Okay, just we can consider what. Okay, I will explain later. Now we are moving to the. Okay, sorry. Yeah, here I have changed functions in the behavior. Actually, the term behavior by the real world object, it is behavior, and this behavior is mentioned through the functions in the program, generally called methods. So please change that functions into behavior here, okay, while you are writing the notes. Okay, understood? So the real world objects are implemented in the program by state. State means that is the characteristics of an object through the variables or the data items, and the behavior of the object is mentioned through the functions, generally called methods. Clear? Any doubt? No. So we can tell object encapsulate state and behavior. Is it? Inside object, it has two properties, state and behavior. So we can tell object encapsulate state and behavior. Next one is class. It is a template or blueprint representing a group of objects that share common characteristics and behavior. That is, in a simple way, we can tell class is a blueprint of an object. Why class is a blueprint of an object? Because it also shares the common characteristics and behavior of object. So here consider car. Just I have given an example, car. Class is car. Class name is known as car. Let's take an example to understand the concept. So here I have taken the example as car class. So what are the characteristics of the car? You know that, is it? Everyone knows. So car has seats, number of seats, brakes, color, length, width, like this different characteristics are there. And what are the behavior? Yeah, braking, halting, accelerating, these are the different behaviors of the car. So here we have, I have written these characteristics and behavior. These are grouped in a single unit. These are in the same unit. Okay. So car is a class having these characteristics and behavior. So the definition of class means it is representing. So it is a blueprint representing a group of objects having common characteristics and behavior. So from this car, in the class itself we are encapsulated, or we are just written that characteristics and behavior in a single unit, is it? Yeah, that's why it is known as class is encapsulated, or object is also encapsulated with the data and or the state or the data and methods. That is known as encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? Wrapping up of data and methods into a single unit is known as encapsulation. That we will discuss on the in the basic OOPS concept. Okay. Now to understand, car is a class, and in this class we have written the characteristics as variables and behavior as the methods. So these characteristics and behavior we have written in a single unit. That's why class is also encapsulated one, and the same time object also having the same state and behavior in a single unit. So object is also encapsulated one. Understood? So class is a blueprint of an object and object is an instance of a class. Why object is an instance of a class? Because from this class car we are deriving an object. Commonly car means it's a generalized one, is it? Yeah, it's a generalized one. You know different types or brands of car, is it? What are they here? So I'm just creating an object here. Just we can see the object car. From car, whichever object you can create, which one is your favorite one you can create according to your interest. So I have created here Ford and Honda City. So first object of the car is Honda City, another object is Ford. Like this different object we can create. Understood? So in an easy way you can understand about this object and class. Consider bird is a class. Bird is a generalized one. Bird means so many birds will come under bird category. So it is a generalized one. When we are considering the parrot, so it is an object of the class. Understood? So class means it is a bird. Bird is a class, and object means parrot. A specific one, that is the object. So here also car is the class and Ford is an object of the class car, or Honda City is the object of the car. Okay. Another one more example. You belong to 9th standard, is it? 9th standard. So you can consider class as 9th standard. So what are the characteristics and behavior of 9th standard? Characteristics means number of students are there. Students with different names. The number of subjects. Number of teachers handling the classes in 9th standard. These are the characteristics. What is the behavior of 9th standard? Learning, studying, writing, playing, sleeping, eating. These all are the behavior of the class 9th standard, isn't it? So consider class 9th is that means your class 9th standard is a class. And what are the objects? How you can tell the objects? Anyone? Yes, you have 3 sections in the school, isn't it? So Brookdale, Riverdale, Springdale. These are the 3 objects of which class? Class 9th standard. Understood? One more example I will tell to understand this object and class, how to create and how it is related. Okay? Student. Best example is a student. So as a student, what are the characteristics and behavior? Yes, characteristics means name. Yeah, you have a name, roll number, marks obtained. We can just for example, I am just taking 3 characteristics. What are they? Name, roll number. Then what is the next one? Marks obtained. Yes, these 3 are the characteristics of a student. And what are the behavior of the student? Of course, studying, writing, learning, playing, singing, eating, sleeping. These are all the behavior of a student, is it? So you know the class is student having these particular characteristics and behavior, you know well, is it? Okay. So how will you create an object for the class student? So how you can tell an example? Yes, each one of you is an example of the object of class student. Each one of you is an object of the class student. So an example like Ritik is a object of the class student. Gautam is another object of class student. Understood? So how this object and class is related and how this, because the class student has the same characteristics and behavior, it's not same, common characteristics and behavior, and from the class we are deriving an object. That's why it is blueprint of an object, or we can tell object is an instance of a class. Understood? I hope everyone understood. Let's move to the next topic. How object-oriented programming overcomes procedure-oriented programming. How this object-oriented programming overcomes the procedure-oriented programming. How? Let's look. Object-oriented programming developed with a view to overcome the drawbacks of conventional programming approaches. Yes, each and every time they are developing a new approach to overcome the drawback of the conventional one. isn't? Yes, and to make a program easy and understandable. That is the main aim to develop each programming paradigm. So what are the drawbacks of procedural oriented programming form? It is procedure programming paradigm or procedural oriented programming. Earlier we discussed about procedural oriented programming or procedural programming paradigm. There we discussed it emphasizes on the procedures rather than data, or it emphasizes on doing rather than data, and it is not able to model real world well. When we are comparing with object oriented, procedure oriented programming is not able to model a real world example with that programming concept. But you know how this object oriented programming is relating with the real world object. How we have just now we have checked that examples also, isn't it? Yes. So object oriented programming overcomes the shortcomings of procedure oriented programming by the first point. Object oriented programming focus on data and functions. Yes, that is indicated as behavior and characteristics. Understood? So in an object-oriented programming, it focuses on, in terms of software field, how we will tell data and functions. Data otherwise known as variables, okay, that is known as data items and functions. So an object is a complete entity, that is all the data and function within it. In that example, we have just discussed, let's move here, car in the car, that is considered as a class, and it is in a single unit. Inside the single unit, we have written the characteristics and behavior, isn't it? So that's why this point is important. All the data and functions within it. Whenever something is to be changed for an object, if you want to change something for an object, only its class gets changed because it is complete in itself. So no other parts of the software or the program, no need to change. It won't reflect to the other parts. Only the particular class we need to change. Whatever change we need to give. Understood? Whenever something is to be changed for an object means only its class gets changed because it is completed. So this is the 2 points how this object oriented programming overcome the shortcomings of procedure oriented programming. Hope everyone understood today's topic, like types of programming paradigm, then object and class, and we discussed about the object oriented with object oriented programming and different examples for the objects and classes. Yeah, that's all for today. Just listen carefully and start writing the notes. Okay. See you on the next video. Thank you for watching.